strategy is more of a, the game goes long, drain the opponent out with Scar's Gift, stay alive, and just generate that value. Try to not run out of cards in hand and break their stuff, make lots of champions. Just put enough pressure on them that they can't just do whatever they want, but also dealing with their threats and blocking whatever you need to on the ground.
Yeah, and during the break, I was actually talking to John, and I'm so glad you said Scar's Gift, because I was calling it a Xanos deck. I was saying it's a Xanos Evil deck, and when I asked John about it, it's a Scar's Gift Evil deck. That's the card he built around the new card from Pantheon.
Yeah, well, so Xanos, I mean, it's a nice tool in the sense that it drains the opponent and it gives you a lot of bodies. So it's an on-turn play that's really threatening, and even if your opponent has a board wipe of some kind, it still does something. It still gives you health and keeps you in the game. But the Scar's Gift is unique in the sense that if your opponent isn't playing a deck that has that type of that has Scar's Gift, and you are, then over the course of the game, you're going to generate advantage because you're turning your discard pile into basically, it's kind of like unquenchable thirsting your opponent slowly.
Yep. So we will get to constructed later, but first we have best of 5 here in the semifinals, 2 games of Dark Draft, followed by 3 games of constructed if needed. Again, we're going to follow from John's perspective this draft. It also looks like a couple of rubber duckies have made their way into the feature match area. This has been a theme all weekend. John, part of the flock, as we've talked about here multiple times, a really great group of guys that test here in the Boston area, and those rubber duckies are they're everywhere.
You know what they say, birds of a feather.
Yeah. John not wearing the rubber ducky tie that he was wearing yesterday, but still looking like quite a dapper duck. That was actually the nickname he wrote down so we could say. So, John, getting ready here with Mike for their first for the Dark Draft, and they'll only Dark Draft once and play the same deck with both games. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just John and Mike talking a little bit here, and looks like here we go. So here's the first pack for John. And right away, 3 really powerful zeros. John's got some decisions to make.
I know he's a really big fan of Little Devil. I would not be surprised to see that taken right away. It's a difficult choice because sometimes you end a draft and you just don't have a lot of recycles and you wish you picked up more, and those cards can kind of be free. So I'm never really feel bad about picking up a recycle, especially something with an impact like Second Wind, because when you're trying to stabilize, Second Wind does that, or it puts you in the position where you don't need to worry too much about being attacked.
Yep. And Mike, we've seen him both have Brock the Fist of Lashnoth in both limited games and constructed games this weekend, but he passes here in the first pack, and after taking the Second Win, John...
Yeah, it's a tougher choice. Blue Dragon and Fire Spirit are basically... they don't require any devotion, but if he takes the Brock, then he's basically saying, I gotta pick up wild cards now.
And that's a loyalty 2 pickup for John. He's pretty early in the draft saying, this Brock is so powerful, I'm willing to go into wild. And he also picks up the Angelic Favor, a new card from Pantheon. So we are at pack 2.
I really like Consume here. I never feel bad about having a 0-cost card that can remove my opponent's 0-cost play, and then also something else, which is what it does.
And the only 0 in the pack, passing Mike 4 coins, as these really competitive players, as we see, the zeros, really prioritizing them, taking them highly, because John has passed a pack with 4 coins. So,
yeah. So right now he doesn't have a lot of off-turn plays, so I wouldn't be surprised if he wanted to take removal in the form of one of these 2, or even just go for draw 2s.
Right. And it looks like he's looking at Inner Demon. Again, a draw 2, or possibly very strong on your turn.
On your turn removal, yeah. The Flame Strike, he definitely needs to... there's nothing like... Flame Strike is a good card. But also, he needs to start picking up those wild cards so he can, have his Fist of Lash not just be.
And he did take the second win, so
Right.
take all the life gain, take all the burn, burn your opponent.
There you go.
That's a strategy. Yeah, Flames of Furos in this pack. Another card really exciting from Pantheon, and he takes it. Yeah, Flames of Furos, great if you're going into the wild deck against if your opponent goes into the tokens, right? It punishes people for going wide, and so does this card, Pyrosaur.
Yeah, and also, a lot of people value the off-turn Wraths pretty highly, and Flames of Furious is one of those few that you can play off-turn, and it's generally better than I should say.
Or sorry.
I should say that what I mean is it doesn't have like a major drawback like Wave Transformation often leaves your opponent with like a lot of junk lying around.
Really cleans up the board. So at the end of pack 3, at the end of pack 7, they got the small review period. So John, counting, he's got that loyalty 2 on Brock, so he's going to be trying to keep track of and keep aware and count how many wild he has, but also counting the zeros. I mean, that's what I would do at this point, and seems like a very good start, very strong start for John, and then he took that Brock, and he knows what he's looking for.
Right. Brock is his only establishing play, so he's probably going to be looking for those. He doesn't have any discard banishment yet, so that's probably a big thing on his radar. And also, he's kind of split among the factions, but the Gold Dragon doesn't really heavily incentivize him. You can always just end up playing that as a...
Right. And I was going to say... even though he has the Flames of Furos, he doesn't have like a full board wipe. But this Hurricane actually really strong. Could be something he's picking up if he's looking for more board wipes. The only 0 in the pack, Brave Squire, also really powerful. And he actually also already has the Gold Dragon, so that could be a huge tempo swing with the Righteous, the life, gaining that life in the air. So choosing that 0.
Yeah, Brave Squire is interesting. It's one of those zeros that just always does so much, for me at least, is it has a much higher tendency to trade up than other zeros.
Yeah, and look at this pack. This is exactly what he wants to see.
Yeah.
He took the Brockies, and look at this, into Draka's Enforcer and Kalani. Kalani, a new 0 from Pantheon. It's been super powerful. 5/5 with Blitz.
It'll be interesting if he doesn't pick up a lot of wild cards, that if he just holds on to the Kalani sometimes to just have that loyalty and only play it, not at the beginning of the game, but at different points.
So the card that stands out for me in this pack is Word of Summoning.
Oh, yeah.
One of the most powerful zeros. The ability to not only put pressure, but also not be down a card. And it's at the top of the pack. And doesn't surprise me there at all.
He doesn't have any recyclers right now. So, I mean, he just has the second wind right now. So having... You pretty much just always want to get recycles until you can't reliably recycle anymore.
And picking up even more burn there with the Pyromancer and the Kalani. His opponent can't gain life. He took the second win. He's got all the burn. He's really putting a strategy together. And there's the Wolf's Bite. This is a card... The Knight of the Dawn also very strong in this pack, especially if he expects his opponent to be an evil. The Knight of the Dawn can pick off a demon and be a really aggressive play. But Wolf's Bite, on faction color, and
it recycles.
And
I mean, if your opponent's attacking you with the Knight of the Dawn, Wolf's Bite trades with it and draws you a card.
That's right. So yeah, exactly. Okay with passing the Knight of the Dawn. Yes, he does have Word of Summoning. It might get him, but overall, I'm sure he's pretty happy.
Ooh.
Oh. Yeah, Dirge of Skara. He goes straight for
That's not even a decision.
Yep, that was very quick for him. Dirge of Skara, another card very powerful out of the new Pantheon set. The draw to effect, but then that Ancient Chant effect, bringing that demon into play if he's able to recycle, which we know he can. He's got second
Works
wind.
well with the Frank Digging.
Yeah, he's got Frantic Digging, a Word of Summoning, Wolf's Bite, second wind, all ways to get that demon after drawing too.
Still hasn't picked up any discard banishment yet.
Yep. I think he passed an erratic research. That's all he's seen.
Yep.
Wow. Super excited to see Fiery Demise. We haven't gotten to talk about that card a lot, but I think it's going to be really good in Limited. There's turns you need to draw to. There's turns you need to recoup in Limited, and Fiery Demise does that, but it's something a little bit more similar to Urgent Messengers.
Yeah, definitely. It's also interesting to see what his opponent will take out of this pack, because I could definitely see... you wanting to take Divine Judgment, Fiery Demise, and Alchemist Assassin.
Yeah, and he does go with the 0 there. Flash Fire. I'm just excited to see Fiery Demise in the draft. I expect Mike to have that, but choosing the 0 there. And there's that Guilt Demon. He didn't have, and he goes for it. Yeah. He hadn't had a discard
Right.
or for the discard pile, a way to banish, and that could be very strong against an opposing smash and burn, Soul Hunter, all kinds of cards.
Plus, that's his second. Well, he has the wave as well, but that's his second real Wrath because he had the deal 7 to all champions, Flames of Furious, and the wave transformation. But those are both kind of finicky, and so that's his first real like hard. Right. I mean, it's actually not even because it doesn't hit evil champions, but that'll probably be better for him since he does have. He can try and get advantage out of it, out of the 3 demon token effects that he has.
Yep. Also, he now has a assembled Wave of Transformation and Flashfire in the same deck. The super clear. But, if you have to and you have both, it gets you out of everything. And he has both of those as well.
Wave Transformation and then Flames of Furious.
Also, yes.
Combo.
Yes, same. That would be really strong as well, especially if Mike goes wide.
You're looking over, trying to figure out what he wants. It looks like he doesn't have very many establishing plays, like plays that he wants to make on turn. I think the only one in his deck is Brock.
Yeah. And we know
that's safe on
we've seen
board.
John. He likes cards like even like Winter Fairy, just something to do. Blue Dragon. These cards that they might not be the most powerful establishing champions, but they are still very strong and something you can do on your turn.
And also his hard removal suite is a little low. He has Flame Strike and the Inner Demon.
Oh yeah,
I think that's it.
Well, I was going to say, helping with his removal suite, just picked up a Kong.
Yeah, exactly. We were just talking about establishing champions and removal, and Kong is pretty much an establish. I mean, if you can't establish, Kong's the next best thing.
Yeah.
Disestablishing.
This is probably one of the first difficult picks for him. He's going to go
the Avenging Angel. I mean, he does have Brave Squire.
Oh, yes. I really do like that, actually.
Yeah, and I could definitely see that working out for him, especially if he ends up getting something else like that later.
So this is tough. If this is the very beginning of the draft, I really like Faithful Pegasus, but where he is now, that Greater Lightning Worm, super deep
the Greater Lightning
loyalty.
Worm.
It's just exactly
really
what he's
good.
looking for.
Yeah.
More bulk and getting out there. Just reviewing those same 4 real quick, making sure
I was about to
he
say.
sees what he passes.
Yeah, I really like Greater Lightning Worm. It's just so much on one card. It can kill a champion, but even just hitting your opponent for 6 and saying I have a big body, like that's another example of a good establishing champion.
Oh my gosh!
Wow.
So super rewarded here. The Raging T-Rex. This is a card. When you see this early, people go into wild. But he has, I mean, I think he'd be happy with all 4 of these cards in his deck.
Right.
Now he's got to choose which ones he wants, and he goes with the Raging T-Rex and the Zombie Apocalypse.
Yeah.
The Zombie Apocalypse also strong with the Flashfire. So
it's good to have off-turn Wraths as well.
He has 2 of the best.
Right,
so.
and he has Pyrosaur.
Right. Oh, exactly.
That's going to make the wave and the Zombie Apocalypse much better.
Yeah, Flames of Furious, Pyrosaur, Wave, and Zombie Apocalypse with the Flashfire. He has ways to clear that board. I think this is pack 10.
Okay, so
I kind of like the.
I don't know how much Sage he has.
He might just be looking for an establishing champion,
right?
And say, I might not have a whole theme around Night of Shadows. He's also looking at that Run Right.
Run Right. Yeah, I mean, he has Zombie Apocalypse now.
Yeah.
But it can be. I mean, keep in mind he also has a lot of ways to make demon tokens. So if he has a demon token lying around from Inner Demon and a Word of Summoning, and then he plays a Run Riot, that can work out.
I really like this Run Riot in his deck. Another new card from Pantheon. If it's your turn, you may break target champion, and your evil champions get +3/+3 this turn.
Right. Well, I think another big reason to look at Run Riot is he doesn't actually have very many draw 2s in his deck right now.
Yep.
And so just having other ways to draw 2.
He went with the Night of Shadows, though.
Yeah.
So, but he was seriously considering, and that was do I have enough, or what am I looking for? Went with the establishing champion over the draw 2.
It's a little tough. I mean, I think I agree. Basically, that's like his 5th establishing champion.
Right.
So
he got that Raging T-Rex as well, so he's looking good there.
Yeah.
There are 3 cards I know you would want in this, at least in this.
At least 3, huh?
Yeah. But the Ribus.
Yeah. I mean, Ribus, for sure. Ribus just can really, it's a removal, it is burn, It can attack for 5 in a pinch.
Yep.
And, you know, when you're playing a deck that has a ton of wilds, it also helps you build up your wild loyalties for your other cards.
Exactly. So Rivas, a new card from Pantheon. We also just saw Ceasefire up on the screen. That both of those cards were the last 2 pickups. Ceasefire also really strong with like Wave and Zombie Apocalypse because most people usually attack one at a time. It could really help you get back in the game, as well as if Mike is in more of a token strategy.
Right.
So Ceasefire, a great pickup in the wild deck, doesn't require any loyalty.
It's also good if you're looking for more draw twos and you need more plays to do off turn.
Yeah.
Which I think is something that's on his mind.
Well, I would be very happy if I had this deck. I do like the Avenging Angel Brave Squire. If you know,
I mean, Brave Squire is great with a lot of
yeah.
things. So you can Brave Squire Greater Lightning Worm and just like force your opponent to have a very specific answer to it.
We also saw Brave Squire with Brock, the Fist of Lashnoth, yesterday, attacking for 19. So, yep. I think if I'm John, I'm very happy he got enough zeros. Again, we've seen players prioritizing zeros, for the most part staying away from loyalty 2. He did pick up that Brock, but that was it, and only in one faction. So even at the end of that Pack 3 review, he did seem, you know, he was open.
Yeah.
And he had stayed open, and he was taking zeros in all the factions because zeros were so powerful, and it really paid off. Late in that draft, the Triceratops and the Raging T-Rex, that pack also had Zombie Apocalypse. He didn't even need the Triceratops, but he was able to pick up a great deal of powerful wild with off-turn board wipes. The deck looks really strong.
Yeah, definitely. I think that it's really going to work out in the sense that he can really focus on the strategy of sticking something and just pushing his advantage because of all those zeros.
Yeah. And cards like Draka's Enforcer, that constant pressure, and he was searching for that as well. We'll have to see where Mike went. Definitely not in Wild, right? Passing that Raging T-Rex.
Absolutely.
Probably very few cards. Cards that he's going to want to see. Hopefully cards like Drain Essence, very strong in some regards in this matchup, always against Wild. But John has not only some really aggressive plays, we also know he has the burn spells to follow it up. Very dangerous with Pyromancer and Flame Strike.
Absolutely.
As well as Kalani and
Flames of Furios.
Not allowing him to gain life, especially with John's first pick, second win. So we'll have to see what Mike did. Now, in the drafts we've seen Mike, Mike has really valued the Airborne Ambush Angels.
Okay.
And other champions, not only with Airborne, but specifically with Airborne and Ambush. And that is something that that Mike could use possibly to try to fly over what John's trying to do.
Right.
We'll have to see, though. He also could be very wide. We have, you know, we do. I was talking to Sam Black between these last rounds, and he had built a deck with Ambush Party. And
nice.
We actually switched to him on coverage and saw him with the Battle Cry to finish off that game. But he said it was one of the first times he's gone into tokens, but he kind of got it all.
Right.
And even though people think, you know, most of the time I don't want to be in tokens, sometimes you know, especially with really pushing the envelope with this new card, Ambush Party. Really excited to see. If Mike did go into tokens, though, it's going to be a tough uphill battle against Pyromancer, Flames of Furios, and then that Flash Fire.
Yeah.
So we'll see here.
Absolutely.
Both of these players getting ready. During that time, we were kind of in the booth. I mean, what they're both doing is, you know, just counting their zeros, looking at the amount of draw twos. The numbers I try to memorize are how many zeros do I have, how many draw twos do I have, and with loyalty cards, or my main or my second faction, what we're going to.
It's also good to know like what outs you have for discard banishment, wraths, like clearing the board, and also, you know, what kind of zero cost answers you have if you're in a situation where you could dig with a gold for a zero cost answer.
Exactly. And we see players not only writing down what they mulligan sometimes, just to make sure that they're keeping track of it, but when games go long, you know, writing down what you recycled. We've seen some really incredible games where all of that can matter, and knowing what you're digging for. And just going in some mulligans here for both players. John with 1 and Mike with 2. And we'll get underway here. Game 1 of Dark Draft in the semifinals. Looks like Mike is on the play to start the game.
Silverwing Lancer and attacking. And, yep, 8's the magic number there.
All right. So the 10-8 blitz to start the game. John says the Flame Strike usually goes to the face, but in this, it'll just be a 1-for-1 removal.
Yeah.
And
It's more like
that's exactly what he
yeah.
does. Silverwing Lancer is unbanishable. That damage
Not
just breaks it.
unmanageable.
So this is the really, I think, the power of Kalani.
Right.
When I see Kalani and the board's empty and somebody plays Kalani, that's the power. These zeros like Dark Knight from the past that say, take 5, and then John passed. You saw Mike still didn't want to play his coin, and he just
Right, and now he drew 2, and that leaves the board wide open for
Avenging Angel. One of the best.
Right,
one of the best coins you can play if you've gotten your opponent to play their coin
Perfect
first.
punish. It's a 12-point swing every hit.
Yep. And Mike cannot start this next turn by just playing a blitz creature and attacking. Another part of Avenging Angel. So very strong start for John, and that was all off the back of Kalani, off the 0, off the ability to pressure your opponent. Mike goes for the draw 2. John has the blitz punisher ready, and he punishes Mike.
Yeah, and just like that, Michael's already at 17.
Yeah.
Looks like he played some kind of board clear.
Looks like the camera is slightly off. We can't.
Could we contact them and ask them to move Michael's cards up a bit? We can't see what he's playing.
It also looks like the.
We can't see his place.
Oh, there we are. Oh, it might have been when. Yeah. Sorry about that. We're just making sure that we can see not only what Mike does, but see his hand. So he did go with the Hurricane. He hurricaned away the Kalani and the Avenging Angel.
Right, and then Brock comes out here. It's as usual. It's a great opener.
Yep. I saw a Sea Titan in Mike's hand. He's also got a Time Bender, so loyalty 2 in Sage. So it looks like he's got a lot of Sage cards in his deck.
Yeah, I'm not too surprised. We didn't see a lot of the classic Sage cards that are highly valued, like Erase, Sea Titan, and Muse and things like that.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if, Michael ended up doing the more traditional route and picked up stuff like that.
And as we've seen both in Constructed and Limited, the Brock, very, very difficult to deal with. But if you can use Erase, or in this case, Time Bender.
So it's interesting, actually, because he returned the Brock to his hand, he can now get rid of it, because he didn't have the loyalty 2 for the Ribus.
Wow. Yes. Yeah, because he had to play the Brock after the loyalty 2. So Ribus, new card from Pantheon, loyalty 2'd it right there with the Brock that just got returned, as he said. Deal 3 damage.
And Michael had to realize that because both those cards were revealed to the loyalty 2, so that option was available to him. But, you have to make a play off turn, and you have to get those cards out of your opponent's hand at some point.
So 3 damage from the Ribus, plus the Wolf's Bite to finish off the Time Bender. And of course, once it's already done, once it's already bounced one thing, it can't stick around, and especially against the Wild deck and against Brock, and keep bouncing things. John got that off the board as fast as possible.
Right, and I think this is actually just enough pressure because the 3 damage prevents Mike from playing small utility champions, and both of those can get in for 5 every turn. That's effectively a 3-turn clock.
Yeah. Ribus, I'm really excited to see this played more and more, because with the loyalty, it just aggressive with Blitz if you want it to be, stays back and deals with little problematic champions. It really can do a lot. Looks like Mike just might be C-typing
the Wolf token.
Yeah, the token, and just saying, this is,
it may not champion.
Exactly.
You got to do something about it.
I've even seen, just to start a game, I've seen somebody just play C-Titan and say, I know that I didn't bounce anything and get all that extra value, but this is also just an 11-14 untargetable.
Like a Wrath check, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have an answer for it? And C-Titan for a long time has been very similar to Brock in the sense of, this is just a test. This is super big, and it's really difficult to deal with. What do you got? So he does. He does play the C-Titan. Bounce the Wolf.
Looks like he's going to...
John doesn't decide to Dirgescar there with the recycle.
Right.
Holding on to it.
Well, he's thinking probably a bit about how he's going to answer that C-Titan.
Right. And if he is going to board wipe, he doesn't want to dirge there with the recycle because he's going to lose that demon anyways. Exactly.
He could wave here. Frantic Taking, he doesn't have to make the next for token because he can recycle away whatever he discards and the Word of Summoning.
Yeah, which I'm
he
sure
decides
will do him.
not to wave, but it pays off for him because he gets Dark One's Blessing.
Dark One's Fury, which will allow him to. Now he probably wants to recycle this. He may choose to recycle this Sturgis card. That's what he's deciding right now.
Absolutely.
That's the decision. You see him really thinking about it, looking like saying, you know what, still, I'm gonna say I have this here. I'm not gonna overextend. I'm just gonna pressure when I can.
He might just draw 2 and then continue pinging with Ribus and then use the demon token to block as well.
Yep.
Because if he can draw 2 without playing the ceasefire, then the ceasefire can be used to just stall out a little bit longer and continue attacking, with whatever else he has. Looks like he's going to recall, make the demon token.
Yep. Yeah, and not in this case, but something I love about ceasefire, especially with great players, in the mind game of, in certain scenarios, you see, the whole, passing and choosing not to pass or why not to, and ceasefire can sometimes punish a great player for passing when it's usually right to pass, and then ceasefire being really, really strong. That is a card. That is a card that you'll see times with great players. They do very strange things where they start attacking with like all of their champions. Where as you normally see just one at a time, you're like, why did he just attack with all of his champions? Like, well,
playing around Ice Drake,
Ice Drake,
Frost Titan.
exactly. Or even just maybe starting with half, like 3 or 4 of your zombies instead of just one.
Like lethal attack, but not all of your
exactly.
champions.
Exactly. So we very well may see some of that in these 2 games. Entangling Vines from Mike.
All right. So yeah, that makes the not attacking a good play on John's part.
Right. He expects Mike to play the coin, so he just starts by passing. Entangling Vines, 9-8 with ambush, and Mike, in all the drafts we've seen, just making sure he doesn't run out of things to do on his opponent's turn, and he's been taking cards like Entangling Vines. He really values ambush, and
I definitely expect that to block there, and then possibly even have the Pyromancer come in and finish that off at some point later in the turn.
Exactly.
Now, there's also an argument to be made that he wants to establish something else, but I think especially when you have cards like Pyromancer in your hand or in your deck, whenever you have a good time to play them, you should, because you have good cards in your hand. So, and you also have cards that aren't as good. That's just a part of draft.
Right.
And that things like Pyromancer can be a bit more situational.
Mike does kind of John able to finish off the Entangling Vines, but had to use his coin to do so. So Mike able to really effectively use an Apocalypse to break all champions and just say, all right, let's start over again.
Right.
And that's where Apocalypse shines. What you don't want to do is have to play it before your opponents play their champion. That's when an ambush champion becomes a real threat.
Yeah, so it looks like John's thinking about drawing 2 here. His opponent is, because Mike's so low on cards, he has 3 left.
Right.
Sometimes passing back and forth can actually be counterproductive because your opponent's gold is worth less than a player with more cards, more hands in their cards in their hands. Gold is worth.
Exactly, and that's a great point. John had 5, Mike had 3, and he said Mike's probably going to need to draw 2, and he picks up the draw 2 first, and that's exactly what Mike did. He drew 2 with the transform. Looks like he's got Mythic Monster, Faithful Pegasus. He'll start there.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see if, since John is probably planning on playing this Dracus Enforcer anyway, if he just tries to go ahead and really greedily eat the Pegasus here.
And Mike, recycle, it's a small effect, but it's something to talk about. He chose Apocalypse and Hurricane to put on the bottom, his board wipes.
Yeah.
The game probably won't go that long, but if it does go that long, the order of which you chose to recycle can be relevant in Dark Draft.
Absolutely.
It never really comes up in Constructed, but in Dark Draft it very much does.
It's interesting. He's playing it really safe by not blocking, because I guess in my mind, Michael is certainly going to pass here because he has something on the board and he's just so far behind that he can't really afford to play something first.
Yeah.
So since John's almost definitely going to be playing the Darkest Enforcer, I was a bit surprised to see him not just play it into the combat anyway, since he has.
Right.
Oh, looks like he's going to go for it anyway.
Yeah. Mike putting the aggression. Just picked up an Ogre Mercenary. And that's an example where he had played his coin. He very well might want to play that Ogre Mercenary, but he passes. He's almost sure John's going to play his coin, just wants to make sure he knows what it is, get more information, and then decide if he wants to also play this Ogre Mercenary. Yep. That's exactly what he did.
Right.
It took me a while to wrap my head around, I want to play this Ogre Mercenary. I want to play it now. I don't want to pass and my opponent just draw. But wait, I played my coin.
Yeah.
He or she
it would be
has
pretty
it.
good if he
Right.
just drew a card, so.
Right.
All right, so 7's coming in. So Mike knows about the Greater Lightning Worm in John's hand. So he's probably going to be very cautious about taking 7 here.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Mike knows about the
He
Great Lightning
can
Worm. He
probably just be reduced to 1 at least.
Right. He does not want his life total getting lower, and
He's
he
gonna-
does play
he's
the
gonna go
Angelic
for it.
Protector, which protects itself, and even if John tried to pump it, would not remove the Angelic Protector this turn. So
It's interesting.
just a fog there.
Right, and so probably I think this is a good turn for the Gold Dragon. You can get in, and then you have the Ceasefire on the follow-up. So I would not be surprised.
That's the power of Ceasefire too, not just against tokens, but just against.
When you can force your opponent into a position where they need to start playing more things.
Right, and they think they're going to win the race.
Yeah.
And they're like, I'm winning this race, and then Ceasefire drastically turns that math around.
Right, and of course he goes to the Brave Squire here. The main reason, aside from the fact that it's such a big swing, is also that it's very likely his opponent is going to attack with Mythic Monster first, and it's good to have something to toss in using the Brave Squire here.
Right.
Effectively is going to gain him the huge amount of health.
Right. And often we see players start by attacking, not always, but with one of their smaller champions. Maybe this Faithful Pegasus could start off the turn.
Yeah, the Airborne Champions could definitely attack, but.
But with Ceasefire, sometimes, especially once you know your opponent has Ceasefire, it can be really great to lead with something like Mythic Monster. Now, there is a 1/1 human on John's side. So Mike knows about the Greater Lightning Worm. And he gains 4 right away. He has to.
Well, the Greater Lightning Worm doesn't have ambush.
Right.
But he has to do it at some point during his turn if he wants to
before he passes.
His opponent might not have loyalty too. He knows there's a con. They might.
True.
They could. John could just have no other.
Yep. And actually, that's exactly what happened. Mike chose to start by attacking with Ogre Mercenary, and I think I would have done the same. I might have started with Faithful Pegasus or Ogre Mercenary. The Ogre Mercenary, gets in there, but now he can't attack with that Mythic Monster, even if John didn't have a chump blocker. And
and of course he just has lethal with the Flash Fire.
Greater Lightning Worm into Flash Fire. That's 8, and that's the end of game 1. Yep. So we saw John's deck performing exactly how we expected it to. He's got both Gold Dragon and Avenging Angel with the Brave Squire. So kind of twofold in that attack, and he was able to do both that game.
Right, and they both were perfect for him. In both scenarios, his opponent didn't have an airborne blocker. They spent their gold first, and then he was able to follow up immediately.
And that's the danger of a draw 2. If you draw 2, and that blitz can really punish you. We'll move over to Sam Black and Calvin Keeney. This is our other semifinal match. They're in game 1 of the Dark Draft, and
was Sam the player that was playing tokens earlier?
Yeah.
Oh well, I guess he likes it.
Yeah. And Sam had said he doesn't usually draft tokens, but I guess Sam's a good enough player that he's willing. He can audible, and if everybody's passing him all the best token cards, and he can build an incredible deck out of it, he's like, oh, all right,
yeah,
I can do that.
And
so it looks like, at least 2 of those human tokens came from Urgent Messengers. He must have Inner Demoned on his turn to get rid of a threat, but he has to have another card. Might be there's Calvin's Erratic Research. Both players with a lot of cards in hand, but Calvin is behind on board and behind in life. to see.
It's interesting. Necromancer Apprentice is one of those few cards where you might eat your own graveyard because you want to get a zombie token.
Right.
Five, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Right. So Sand Black does have lethal on board, so Calvin is going to need to. Yeah.
Yep. So this was just a quick stop in. Let you see how things were going on this end, but we are going to switch back to our feature match. Start of game 2. And
Quite a start.
Yeah, so Mike lost, so it was his choice. Chose to be on the draw, and John with probably the best thing you can do. In both constructed and limited, as an establishing champion on turn 1 on the play. That is the power of Raging T-Rex. Very good start for John, and we'll see what Mike has. Leads with the Silverwing Guardian, so he'll be up to 33 from the tribute. And
Yeah. Silverwing Guardian is definitely one of those cards that can get really out of hand if you don't pay attention to it, because it's kind of like an ambush Avenging Angel in the sense that each attack is a 12-point swing.
yes, you never want to be trying to race a champion with Righteous. And I think that's Flames of Furos.
Right. So I think John's counting it up. He's seeing if he's trying to think, if I use my Flames of Furios here on the Angel, what could I draw into? And this consume. And I'm not sure what else. This is the deal 7. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
That just kills Michael's champion and then deals 1 to Michael.
Yeah. So Mike goes down to 32, but again, Mike, because of the power of ambush, which I said it before we got to see it. He's done it in all 3 now, all 3 dark drafts we've seen. Power of ambush, airborne champions. And there's Fiery Demise.
Yes.
Which, honestly, that's an incredible Fiery Demise. The Flames of Furies does do 7 damage to the Raging T-Rex, and Mike's able to finish it off. So
Draw 2, kill a Raging T-Rex.
yes, that is an incredible play for
Almost
Mike.
as good as a Raging T-Rex.
Yep. And that's the power of ambush. Mike ambushes. He attacks. He forces John to play his coin first. That coin helped Mike a ton. And Mike really showcasing the power of the ambush there and Fiery Demise.
Right, so he's going to second win first. He has Consume in his deck, so Consume could finish this champion off in trade. So he could play the Wolfspite in trade, but I think he's going to go for the Brave Squire here.
Right. Simply because the Brave Squire never recycles, and the Wolfspite will be able to, hopefully, just a little bit later in this game.
Right.
Exactly. So, Brave Squire targeting itself, 6/1 Unbreakable, deals with the Knight of the Dawn, and will stick around, hopefully, as a chump blocker in the future. And there's Ogre Mercenary. These zeros with Recycle. Ogre Mercenary, it's just so powerful.
Yeah.
He didn't lose a card. He puts pressure on the board. That's the kind of thing that makes your opponent not only be under pressure, but forced to sometimes use their coin first. And Mike follows it up with another Zero Little Devil.
It's interesting that he's making these plays considering that he knows that John has Pyrosaur in his hand.
Yeah.
So it's possible that he's trying to really drain. Like if John let's say John plays the Pyrosaur now, then that puts him in a position where has even less cards in his hand.
Yeah, and a huge pickup for John. He Ribus off the top, Loyalty 2 now for the Pyrosaur if he wants to do that.
Right.
He also could Loyalty to the
He could also
Pyrus.
just play the Ribus and clear off the Ogre Mercenary right away.
Yep. And,
Or the Little Devil with the Wolfspite.
and he goes with the Wolfspite. Gets the Recycle off the Wolfspite. Should be getting a 2/2 Wolf token coming into play. And yeah, using the Wolfspite this turn.
Right.
Saying I'll be able to Ribus the Ogre
I actually
Mercenary
like
the
this
next
play
turn.
because what he's doing is he's really trying to get Michael to spend his gold first because he wants to pump that gold dragon in. He's
Right.
setting up for a perfect gold dragon. Because now Michael's behind again because that Ribus will clear off the Ogre Mercenary in the following turn.
And it looks like John passed, and Mike said, "No, I'm not having any more of this Avenging Angel Gold Dragon." He drew his card.
Right.
Yeah. Mike saying, "I can't play my gold first on your turn. You have too many powerful blitz punishers, and John did there with Gold Dragon. A wise move by Mike as he goes back to his turn. He'll start by attacking. Even though he knew that double block was there, if he doesn't attack, the Rivus is taken down the Ogre Mercenary next turn anyways, so makes sense.
Yeah, and of course John has to block there because,
Right.
you know, Mike might have some kind of trick or something
Yeah.
that removes the Ribus.
Mike with the Mythic Monster, John choosing the draw 2 part of Dark One's Fury, and we'll go
Interesting.
back.
He's not following up with the Word of Summoning. Yeah, I think this is a perfect turn for Inner Demon.
Yes, yeah. So
Yeah.
Inner Demon, breaking the Mythic Monster, getting the Demon on his turn. Inner Demon and Bitten, very similar cards, but Inner Demon, especially on your turn, is when you want to play that.
Right.
And
He's also got some zeros that he can use to reset up if he gets pulled out, but he's going to have a little bit of an awkward off turn if he doesn't have if he doesn't get something good off of the Word of Summoning.
this is Necromancer Apprentice?
Necromancer Apprentice, yes.
Yeah,
He's going to banish. He's going to banish the champion of the Scarpal and get a zombie token.
Yep. And
Majestic.
there was that turn where he could have Word of Summoning, but he didn't. He still has it, and he got Mike to Hurricane there. So
Yeah. It was good play on John's part.
Yeah,
And so
trying really hard not to overextend.
yeah, he is going to have to Word of Summoning this turn though, because he doesn't really have any. He's gonna have to be right now.
Yes.
He needs to either find an answer to this card or at least a Wilds, just to play a Wilds card that he can use to play the Dracula's Enforcer, and he found one.
So it's looking like he's going to.
Interesting.
Yep.
He's going to draw. He doesn't have any. Does he have a 0 cost out to this card?
I don't believe he has like a hasty retreat he's digging for there, but I guess if he knew he was going to play the Dracula's Enforcer anyways, just
as
drawing
well.
first to make sure,
Yeah.
like, what could I draw here? What pump spell?
Right. He could bluff
possibly.
that he has pumps in his
Right.
deck or something like
Yeah.
that. Like a Rage or a Lash.
But it looks like he's not going to be able to block the Silverwing Lancer.
Oh, you know what? He could. Oh, he already played the Brave Scar this turn, but Brave Scar would have been a really good
Yes,
card
exactly.
to play there.
Yes. And Mike following up the Silverwing Lancer with a White Dragon. White Dragon already just a strong 0, but if you're able to pull it off with Recycle, incredibly powerful.
Yep. Interesting. So not using the Necromancer Apprentice right away.
Yeah, he could try to keep Mike off of a Recycle by starting there, but he says going straight in with the Dracula's Enforcer.
Yes.
Mike, even at 32, really deciding, do I want to take this 7? At this high of a life total, I'd be surprised if he played his coin first. He did this last game where even though he has the Angelic Protector and he wants to, save the 7 damage. Last game, he played the Angelic Protector, just fog to the Dracula's Enforcer, but then there was that follow-up with the Avenging Angel and the Gold Dragon, or the Gold Dragon.
Right. Well, he's thinking the Avenging Angel here can
double block.
Can eat the Dracula's Enforcer.
So yeah, a double block here
and
too.
He's safe against board wipes in the sense that if a Wrath did happen, he would still have something on board.
Right. So if he chooses to double block, he can get rid of the Dracula's Enforcer, but that will leave the door open for Avenging Angel.
Right. Even if he doesn't double block, I mean, it still leaves the door open unless for a attack that with Avenging Angel.
Yep. So Mike has played his coin. John is not.
Just gonna whack in with these first and see if just get damage in while you can.
Also, just seeing if Mike might have any other 0s, but he doesn't. And Avenging Angel or Gold Dragon here. Yes.
Yeah.
I like the Avenging Angel because of the single Silverwing Lancer.
I mean, both of his champions want to attack.
Yes. And there again, John able to get Mike to play his coin before him on John's turn, and Mike has the Blitz Punisher.
saving that Pyrosaur might really pay off, seeing as how he has the Flash Fire and the Consume. He can start chaining those together.
He could try to get rid of that Silverwing Lancer. Something else I love about Avenging Angel is again, Mike is incentivized to try to play his coin first to get rid of it so he can start attacking.
Right.
And that also is what he wants.
Almost definitely going to be Veldin here if he has Loyalty 1. Otherwise, he's just going to have to put a champion into play and stop and pass.
I'm looking at his hand. I
tell.
don't think he had. I think that was Rabble Rouser. I'm not sure.
That's Rabble Rouser in front. Absolutely. Rabble Rouser.
Yep. Zealous Necromancer.
And I believe maybe Revolt in the back. So in that case, maybe it's the Steel Titan.
So we did predict, going wide when he was passing card, just in his deck. And it looks like he has gone into kind of a Sage Good token strategy. John uses the Flash Fire as a draw to.
This is only a play.
Right.
Basically.
Yeah. Just making sure he uses a coin. Refuels his hand. Yeah.
Interesting. So.
And Mike, of course, couldn't attack with that Silverwing Lancer because of the Avenging Angel. So back to John.
So if he attacks with the Avenging Angel, then it can get double blocked in the air and trade with the Misguide Heralds. Well, attempt to trade with the Misguide Herald, and the Consume kills the Misguide Herald, and he gains 6, and the Avenging Angel is still tapped.
Yes.
Yeah.
Starts with the Necromancer Apprentice. That hero's actually done work for John.
Right.
It's a small...
Yeah.
It takes time, but banish target card from any discard pile. If that card is a champion, you put a zombie token to play. Not only it's made 3 zombies now, but it's banished 3 of Mike's cards.
Right. And this way he plays around like Spike Trap.
Yeah.
And also Flame Spike.
Yes, by doing that first. Right. Absolutely.
Because both of those cards would be really relevant this turn.
Yes.
Even Go Wilds.
Right.
So he's going to double block
Necromancer
here.
Apprentice, not a card from Pantheon. I thought what I would be saying is this powerful. So it's really cool to see John using it here.
Right, and based on what we saw last turn, it's pretty clear that Michael is a bit desperate for answers from the Avenging Angel.
Yep, and that's exactly what you said. Mike goes for the double block and the Consume. Once blocks have been declared, John gains 3. That Misguide Herald won't be able to...
Gains 6.
Well, right. Plus another 6, exactly.
Yeah.
More importantly, the Avenging Angel is now expended.
Yeah.
And John gained life, which is just making it even more harder for Mike to get that Silverwing Lancer.
So it'll be interesting to see if John... passing here is a little bit awkward because...
Right, he goes with the draw.
Yeah, because you're not really ahead in the sense... You're gaining 6 every turn, I guess, but...
Exactly.
It's not the end of the world, but...
There's a deadly raid from Mike.
Raid.
He's got the Rabble Rouser. He's got the deadly raid.
Yeah.
We'll see if he can.
He's got a lot going on, but
we'll see if he can put something together.
That Avenging Angel is doing a lot more than I think I've ever seen it do.
Yes. Yeah. Martin Dickey would be so proud, so proud of this Avenging Angel. He plays online.
Martin Dickey would be proud of Dapper Duck over here.
Yes. Martin truly is a good friend and an incredible epic player, and he has shown me the power of Avenging Angel, and he's brought John on board to it as well.
So
they're
Michael
doing really well.
Picked up an Apocalypse. Not quite the type of removal he wants to see right now.
Yes. Yeah, that is not what he wants, but that Faithful Pegasus, I guess he tries what he did last turn again, right? And John doesn't have the Consume. He can double block with the Faithful Pegasus and the Angel. Trying to scrape something together here.
I think maybe you draw 2. If you're Mike, you draw 2 with the Apocalypse here because you need to find an answer, but also the Deadly Raid. Just on board, you have 23 unblockable. Your opponent, John, is the person that needs to deal with Mike's board,
right?
Not the other way around, assuming that the Avenging Angel isn't there.
Right, so it looks like he went with Faithful Pegasus pass. Neither player played their coin. John, frantic digging to start.
Right, looking for another good play to make. Interesting. He doesn't want to discard the... yeah, I think that was a good call. I mean,
Yeah.
Gold Dragon, it's a hard card to play all the time, and his opponent has already shown that he's been trying to play around it.
Yes. Yeah, Avenging Angel got Mike really good in game 1. He did everything he could to not have it be a problem here in game 2, but John with the frantic digging. Still neither player has played their coin. Just a Faithful Pegasus from Mike's side. And
So he's passing back to Mike.
Yep.
So Mike can either... yeah.
Mike can, I guess, pass here to in the turn.
Right. Mike gets the option to pass
yeah.
the turn. But he's really thinking his options through. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
it makes sense. You know,
it's
he
tough.
doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't want to.
It's tough because his two are it's Deadly Raid and Apocalypse. Super aggressive, super defensive, both with
Yeah.
draw twos and not knowing which way to go right now. I like Mike just passing there and saying,
Yeah.
like, trying to figure out if maybe this Faithful Pegasus and Angelic Protector are enough to stop the Avenging
So-
Angel. And if so, he's got
I think if you're
that's
John.
yeah.
Pyrosaur is great here because it kills the
Yes.
Pegasus, and then when it attacks, it kills the zombie token and Zealous Necromancer.
Yes, and it's exactly what I was going to say. The next thing is that Angelic Protector this turn, it's not just a safe block on the Avenging Angel,
Right.
that the Avenging Angel would actually take it down. So Mike's going to have
Yeah,
a
and
whole
then
bunch of things to do here.
let's see. So when he attacks with the Pyrosaur, everything will have 4 combat on it, so it won't actually matter. He won't have to group attack or anything.
Right.
So that's going to kill. Yep. That Mike's going to take 4 from that, and then if John wants to, he can activate the Necromancer before blocks are declared, because he didn't have the option to before he played the Pyrosaur.
Right. And because of the 4 damage from the Pyromancer, there's not really a good
Yeah,
block here
no
for
good
Mike.
trade.
I was just looking at both Silverwing Lancer and Steel Titan and saying, yeah, this is a trade.
Yeah, it's possible that Mike is reevaluating Apocalypse and thinking maybe this isn't my route that I need to take
Yes, and that's why it was so hard for him. But I think, like I said, he did a really great job of not choosing to do a draw 2 with Deadly Raid or Apocalypse because he really didn't know which way the game was going.
Right.
And now I think
Now he knows.
it's going to be the possibly even a draw 2 off the Deadly Raid
Yeah,
into Apocalypse on his turn.
absolutely.
Something close to that. He's going to need to do that.
Yeah, he definitely needs to block with the Angelic Protector here.
Yeah. Especially if he's planning on Apocalypse. Even though he
yeah.
loses the Angelic Protector and John gains 6 more, John's life total isn't important. It's just Mike trying to stabilize right now.
He's also close to dead.
Well,
Just with the other attacks. I mean, that's
Oh,
another 10, right? Or yeah, I guess if the demon gets blocked, it'll be 6 more. So Mike will be at 10. So if he doesn't block the Avenging Angel, it goes to 4.
Right, and then we know that John has that Flame Strike in his hand. So,
Right.
I mean, Mike's life total is...
Which is revealed, right, with the Pyrosaur?
I think it was. It was might not have been.
Mm-hmm.
There was Brock that was revealed, and I can't remember the other one.
Right. So
But if it was revealed, then, I mean, Mike really does know what he's up against. No, it was Brock and Kalani. That were the 2 reveals off the Pyrosaur. I don't think Mike knows that Flame Strike's in his hand. So he started by attacking with the zombie and the demon together. If Steel Titan wants to block because of Pyrosaur, he'd have to
Yeah.
trade, and that's exactly what Mike was forced to do. Of course, he also knows that he's like, but at this point, I'm apocalypsing on my next turn. So.
Right. But John's not worried about ending the game as fast as possible. He has slightly more cards in hand, a fantastic board state, and a very nicely padded health total.
Yes.
So, just if you want to draw cards, do it all day long,
Yep.
And Mike decides not to draw 2 with Deadly Raid and to gain the 4 health, effectively.
Exactly. But didn't play a coin. But
Right.
he's okay with that because he knows what his follow-up is already, and that's Apocalypse.
Right.
John
And so
recalling Dirge of Scar again.
establishing the demon token.
Yeah. His coin allowed him to basically put an ambush in and continue putting pressure.
No, I totally
It's
agree with that
incredible.
play. I think
Yeah.
a lot of people don't think about recall,
Yeah.
especially, but Dirge of Scar is a little bit different because if you recall it, it's kind of like a much smaller version of like a Draka's Enforcer or something like that, in the
Sure.
sense that it puts a body on the board and puts you up a card.
Exactly.
But Draka's Enforcer doesn't put you up a card. It's zero net cards. So it's Dirge of Scar. Recalling Dirge of Scar is net +1, which is like playing a draw 2.
Exactly.
And you get a 4/4. So it's like a really tiny,
Yeah.
like a gudgeon or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of people want to recycle that Dirge a long time ago, but John's recalled it twice now.
Yeah, and
So
it's really
he's
been working for him.
really getting as much out of because he's been slightly ahead. He's been able to do things like that and continue to put the pressure.
It helps with his reads because he knows. Oh, so that's Akira. He knows that Mike's been having a difficult time with removal, so he doesn't have any of that good premium removal.
So Mike with Kira, one of the new cards from Pantheon, an ambush champion.
Interesting deciding to block with Kira instead of both wolves, but he
Right.
might be afraid of some type of blitz champion. I mean, he knows
Yep.
he has the Kalani in his hand.
Yep. Which was revealed. Mike did actually know about that. So John goes with the Brock, Fist of Lashnoth. Kira was not long for the world. She
Yeah.
she came in and she was gone pretty quickly. But
Right.
there's the Kalani.
Yeah,
One
Wolf
of
has
the
to jump
yeah.
here.
But I mean, Mike's almost lost his whole coin that he played this turn already, and John has not let up on the gas at all.
Right.
the-
He spent most of his coin blocking a draw 2, effectively. The
Yeah.
demon that came off of the
Yeah.
Recall of the Dirge.
Incredible.
Right.
So-
So he
right.
just has to refill. He has to find an answer to that. He knows he has to find an answer to that.
Right.
Brack. He can't even gain health if he finds a card that gives him health.
Right. There's the Dirge of Skara again. John just chaining, playing Dirge of Skara. You could do it every turn.
Yeah.
Just Dirge recall, Dirge recall, and that's what John's been doing. So,
So he actually guilt demons away his own Dirge here.
that's incredible.
Yeah.
Dirge, draw 2, Guilt Demon, ambush. I'll take my own card. That's the first. John always doing something I haven't seen, and using Guilt Demon and Dirge to the most aggressive he can.
Recognizing that if his opponent blocks the wolf if his opponent removes Brack and then it gets rid of the wolf with the blocks with the 5/5, then the demon token, the 2 demons get in for 7, knock him down to 9, and then
Yeah.
he can finish it off with Flame Strike or Pyromancer into the other.
That's 2-0 in the dark draft for John. John there, he had the Brock. Mike drew 2 with Divine Judgment, couldn't find anything, and John coming out of the dark draft 2-0. We got to be feeling great. I'm not
absolutely.
exactly sure how this matchup's going to go, but even if Mike is slightly favored, Mike has to pull off 3 wins in a row. But John got to find that one game. But first, we'll move over to our second semifinal. This is game 2. Looks like Sam Black is up a game, and he is attacking with Steel Titan, and Calvin looks like he's at 9.
Well, not a good place to be.
Calvin, do you have an off-turn board wipe or a way
have
to
lying
stop
in
this?
wait?
A lying in wait. Lying in wait does seem like, especially with these new cards in Pantheon, a card that's gone up for me. It's not always
Yeah.
what you want to do, but sometimes, especially with all these new untargetable, unblockable champions.
Yeah, people always undervalue, especially in limited formats. People tend to undervalue Lying in Wait as
So
a card that.
it actually looks like Calvin has a consume in his hand. He might be able to just consume his own Scaros, or just choose to gain
Right.
3 life of it.
But that's not enough to survive the Steel Titan.
It's 13, not 11.
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. I forgot it's a 13, not an 11.
So it looks like he's going to have to find. I think he's thinking about what he could final task. I mean, he probably did draw 2.
So
Yeah.
just looking for
Yeah.
what
Yes.
I don't know what is. What I don't know what 0 would be able
Second
to
wind.
help him there. Second one, yeah, maybe.
Otherwise,
I
Hands from Below and Spike Trap.
wow. Okay, so Calvin scoops there. That's the end of game 2. Sam Black 2-0 in his dark draft as well. So both Sam and John looking very strong. Looks like both groups of semifinals are going to take a slight break. They both stepped away from the table, maybe just for a few seconds, to go to the restroom and get some water. But very commanding performance from John. And for the very little we've seen, Sam also taking 2-0 as well.
Absolutely.
Sam has been playing so much online. I know he didn't have these new Pantheon cards, but he's just been dark drafting and dark drafting and dark drafting, and I've even played against him a couple times online. It does not surprise me that here in this top 8, he is now 4-0 in dark draft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think also the best strategy for practicing dark draft is to play against a lot of different people, because
Yes.
the type of strategy that the same strategy doesn't work against all different strategies. You know, you really have to adapt to the way that your opponent plays. Some people play very cautiously and they won't attack, for example, with something unless they know that they can get it through. And some people will, it'll be turn 1 and they'll, all right, Rampaging Worm.
Right. Yeah. They just go all in.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I've seen a lot. I've played against a lot of different people, and it does make you better. And cards you might have kind of, like, I don't know, evaluate that card as a card I want or a strategy I want in limited. Sometimes Martin as an example, he beat me 3 or 4 games in a row with Avenging Angel, and I said, okay, wait a second, why am I not drafting this card?
Yeah.
It is actually an incredible blitz punisher. So Sam proving that practice makes perfect,
Yeah.
and really just taking care of business in dark draft, and we'll see what he can do. He is up against Calvin. Calvin has the more aggressive deck in constructed. We got the deck list here in front of us. They will be on the back of the match, so we'll just be going to them hopefully as we have some time. Try to show you guys as much as we can. But Sam playing a very similar deck to Mike Sigrist, the Sage Wild deck, or I should say the Wilds with the Sage Splash, with the Kongs, with the Brocks much slower, Fire Shamans and Brachiosaurus, even some Skaros, where Calvin has cards like Flame Strike, and it also looks like Force Lance is much more aggressive. So we will see. We will see them here shortly as they get ready for our constructed portion.
Absolutely. And I think, like you were saying about Avenging Angel, I mean, John really highlighted how effective it can be, but you really need to nudge your opponent in that direction. Like, having those type of cards in your pool and in your hand, those are the type of things that you have to plan for and set up. I really have to put my opponent in a situation where they can look to benefit a lot from spending their gold first.
Yeah.
And then that's how you really get a win out of Avenging Angel, basically.
Yeah. And the power of zeros. I
the
say it
power
all
of
the time,
zeros.
but they are, and cards like Dirge, which is proven to be just so powerful here, and we'll actually see it again from John in his constructed deck. But the zeros, and you see, we talk about zeros, you think they're just not as powerful as the coins. I want to play with the coins, but they're that edge. They're how you get ahead, so your opponent needs to play their coin first, and then Avenging Angel comes in and goes to work. So I think John might be on his phone right now, just last second reviewing, if I had to guess, reviewing Mike's deck list. I mean, they had a chance to review them, kind of late last night. All the deck lists came out online, so the top 8 competitors could all see what they're up against, and
it's always good to review what your opponent has that's good against your deck, and keep in mind, they have this many of this type of card, this many of this type of card. Oh, they have one of these, and that one is going to be it's very big, especially if you ever get to see them.
Yeah.
Right. Like, Mike has that one Hurricane, and the Hurricane is going to be relevant versus John, since he has a tendency to put a ton of tokens on the table.
Yeah.
And it's, the off-turn wipe that can be played against him.
Yeah.
But once once it's played, or if it gets either to draw 2 or to clear, then he doesn't really have to worry about it for the rest of the game.
Exactly. I'm sure that's going to be in John's mind in these next games. That one of Hurricane. Also, 2 Drakas. And that's sometimes a lot of decks we see 3 Drakas. Mike just playing 2. That's another thing I would keep track of if I was John during the game. If both Drakas have been played, Mike's not playing a card like Pyrosaur, which also helps with going wide, and he's not really playing but that 1 Hurricane to help. So after 2 Drakas, if the game goes long, John also able to say, well, maybe I can go, try to go as wide as I can with Xanos and Rift Summoners and say, like, I'm not worried about a Draka. My zombies are much more safe than they would have been. So, just some things to think up on Mike's side. I talked to Mike a little bit before the start of the semifinals, and something that was very interesting was both of these players talked about feeling like their decks are stronger if they go long. They're for 2 different reasons, and I kind of agree with both of them. We'll see which parts of not only the decks they draw, but what they're able to pull off. Mike, he's been able to prove that he can go long in any matchup. I mean, he's got the Thought Pluckers, the Raging T-Rexes, everything we talked about, Brock and Draka's Enforcer, all of these cards replacing themselves, making it so that his opponent finally has to take a turn off to draw 2, and that's where he gets ahead. And that's why, he clearly feels favored in the late game. John, not a Xanos deck for John. It's a Scar's Gift for John. And John said, well, if the game goes long and the boards stall out or we all can't stop each other with our coins, my Scar's Gift is going to slowly but surely take care of Mike. It will be interesting to see big cards, I think, playing here. Scar's Gift, the 3 Amnesias from Mike, and timing those with Scar's Gift. John obviously going to be aware of those. So there's going to be a lot of I feel like those cards are really going to play a part, and it could go fast. It could be a quick game if somebody stumbles, but I expect these games to be some really great back and forth. So we are about to start here. Game 3, the semifinals. This is the beginning of, it's a best of 5, the beginning of our constructed games. Yeah, Mike will need to win 3 constructed games in a row here against John to move on to the finals.
Yeah, I mean, also, I think to some point you said, basically, John really needs to rely on pushing Michael off the table at some point, like really threatening the health total aspect with the tokens and the, and John will have a harder time always being defensive against Michael if Michael can like have airborne champions, for example, that are getting through.
Right.
Then his answers don't really replace themselves in the same way that Michael's threats do.
Exactly. John starts off with the draw 2. Mike has a draw 2 as well. At the end of John's turn, and then into the Brachiosaurus. And here, Mike has been consistent all weekend. He's ahead on board. He plays the Brachiosaurus, and he says, pass.
I think John's decision to draw 2 here is very good. Basically, he wants Michael to extend more, so that way, because really, Brachiosaurus is a really hard card to actually answer.
Right.
1 for 1, because it's basically a 0-cost card that's really big.
Yep.
And so the best way to answer it generally is to have lots of other things in play and then play a board wipe like Apocalypse or Angel of Death or something that removes the Brachiosaurus and something else.
Yep. And Mike does use his remaining coin just to draw 2 quickly with Smash and Burn, and over to John. Brachiosaurus kind of playing out there like a Raging T-Rex.
Right.
In a way.
Yeah.
But that breakthrough is super relevant against John when he wants to go wide.
Mm-hmm. So John just not stopping with the draw 2s?
Yeah.
That's the 3rd one in a row.
Yeah.
Of course, he doesn't want to play Scar's Gift in the situation where he can't actually recall it immediately, because
exactly.
The main advantage is the long game.
And that's a really great point, actually. I was going to bring up similar to Plentiful Dead, which a lot of you guys watching very well have played with. Scar's Gift plays out like that, where you can kind of protect it by instantly, like holding initiative and instantly bringing it back as long as you do it correctly, as long as you're ready to play an evil coin, so that hopefully Mike's amnesias won't be able to grab him.
Absolutely. So here the Strafing Dragon hits John for 5, and it looks like John's going to have to discard a card, so he's gets rid of uses the Amnesia now, gets rid of the Smash and Burn, might as well. Maybe
Right.
you'll draw a Dear Discara or another Ancient Chant that makes a better discard target. But it looks like he's just going to have to pick something to get rid of.
So, yeah, John passing back but saying, I think I've 9 cards, I've discarded a few here, and see. Guess we'll get to see a little bit of what he values at least in this matchup, at least at this time.
Yeah.
Start to get a little bit more insight about. So getting rid of the Wave and the Heinous Feast.
Yeah, an odd situation where it is technically better to discard the Heinous Feast than to play it.
And there's the first Scar's Gift. So, Scar's Gift, it did go into the discard pile, but John, to save a little bit of time, it's going right back into his hand. So he just kind of reveals it and uses it once, and then it goes right back. So deal 2 damage to target player, gain 2 health, and then that allied ability may banish 2 other cards in your discard pile if you do recall the Scar's Gift, which he did right away. So,
and of course, Michael could play the Brachiosaurus again, but he's put in a bit of an awkward situation because John has been so efficiently dealing with the board while also not letting up with a number of cards in his hand.
Yeah. Both of these players playing Ancient Chants. It could happen where we see at the very end of a game where a player doesn't have a lot of cards, but I think both these players, not only have they been doing this all weekend, but they're both playing decks and playing Ancient Chants, and we're going to see full grips on both sides. So decisions are going to be everything here. Brachiosaurus into draw 2 from the Feeding Frenzy.
Right. Yeah, Brachiosaurus, not quite as amazing when you think of it as a tiny Triceratops. A smaller Triceratops.
Right. That's actually a better representation of what's happening when you choose to draw 2 after playing it.
It's
exactly.
Like you play a Brachiosaurus and then you discard a card to draw 2.
Exactly.
So you end up with the same number of cards in your hand as you
playing
had before you play the Brachiosaurus.
Exactly. Right. So that's basically what he's creating without having that card in his deck.
Of course, having the flexibility to just be able to overload the board is convenient against other wild decks.
Yes. So Mike, again, with a lot of cards, and before discarding, just plays the Fire Shaman instead of discarding to hand size. And on John's turn, we'll see Angel of Death.
Yes, not wanting to play around with the Fire Shaman, I'm sure. And Brachiosaurus can be a difficult card to deal with. I think playing the Fire Shaman there is pretty interesting. I don't think that Michael necessarily wanted a board out to be played as much as was trying to play around Will of Skara.
That's right. It could have been, absolutely. It could have been Will of Skara. I think Mike was also just going to have to discard to hand size. So both of those, though, a reason to just play the Fire Shaman, even though you're not trying to combo off or do anything else with it. And there is Skara's Will. John has 1 or 2 copies of this card?
Will of Skara is... Scar's Will, 3 copies.
Three copies from John's deck. Wonderful. Yeah, if it's your turn, target player breaks champion they control if able. If this is the first coin card you have played this turn, gain a coin for evil.
Right.
Which is most of John's deck.
And it
also seems strong against these wild decks.
Right. And it's like one of the best ways to counter a Brachiosaurus play because Brachiosaurus so often sits there and then passes back to the other player and they can immediately... They need a response because it's a big breakthrough champion.
Yeah. So if you're playing cards like Ancient Chant, you have all these cards in your hand, and you can only play 1 coin a turn. Scar as well, playing out like a 0, a way to deal with either large Brachiosaurus draws or Brock the Fist of Lashnoth. That is something important for Mike to think about in this. And Wolfspite's probably a card. There are cards like Wolfspite, Fire Shamans, and other ways that hopefully Mike can have a couple other champions to make those cards not as powerful.
So I like John's style here. He's letting himself take the 7 because he knows that in a race, that 6 is going to bring Michael down to 20. 20, things start to get, you don't really want to be taking hits anymore, and then he has the gift to start following up and kind of make his 6 attack airborne act like a bigger one.
Exactly. Where John can gain life in this game, I don't think Mike's deck can at all. In fact...
Right.
Yeah. No, and Mike has absolutely no way of gaining life. What he starts with is what he has, and he knows that. So, and a hit with Angel of Death that's a permanent 6 loss.
Right.
And if John can gain back health, if this connects only a couple of times over a game, it starts to become a real problem for Mike. So,
especially since we know that he has burst. Not just in Scar's Gift, but Michael also has to worry about the Rift Summoner, the Xanos, and the Seed of Zaltesa, the Xanos, and the Guild Demons.
Yeah, and Mike drew 3. Did he have 2 Ancient Chant in his discard pile? I think so. Either way, he doesn't have a lightning strike here.
Right.
So he flame spikes to start, and he does. Wow. Mike says, I don't want to play my coin first, but I do not want to take 6. My life total is very important. Flame spike into Wolfspite into Wolfspite. Got to take care of the Angel of Death somehow.
Yeah.
And then Mike's able to without playing his coin. And that's the power of Recycle, too. I mean, all 3 of those recycled.
Absolutely. And I think now John's evaluating how much needs to be on this board to wrath it, or even if he should just play Reaper. I actually like Reaper here because basically it's a large enough body that it forces Mike to do something about it. I mean, he has some things on the board, but it kind of blanks his wolf tokens that he just spent a lot of resources making, while also establishing a threat.
Right.
And, Mike has a bunch of cards, but he probably doesn't have a lightning strike based on how he just played.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a lot harder for him to deal with a large champion like Reaper. And Mike's thinking about how to spend his golds.
He has that Draka's Enforcer.
Yeah, he's definitely thinking about the Draka's Enforcer. The one awkward thing about the Reaper is that when you give your opponent demon tokens, it makes your Dark One's Furies worse.
Right, a little wombo, but...
So you really have to keep that in mind and play around it.
Mike's actually leaning towards the Smash and Burn, and just as a draw too, but really to get it into his discard pile.
So a bit of edge play, he decides to use it on the Wolf token in the event that John has the 1 copy of Flashfire.
Yeah. And follow up by the Muse. John doesn't have an answer for the Muse. Extra card drawn for Mike. So a draw 2 into Muse. Mike has quite a large hand, as he usually always does. And Muse, I mean, it's still incredible.
Absolutely. I mean, if your opponent doesn't answer it, then you can really run away with all sorts of things.
It allows, if not unanswered, it allows you to play even more powerful zeros like Lightning Strike that don't recycle themselves, but still keep the hand large.
And I wouldn't be too surprised to see John drawing 2 during this turn, mainly to force Mike to make a play, because Mike definitely doesn't want to draw 2 with the size of his hand that he has right now.
It's a good point.
So
Mike adding to the board, especially when John knows he has a board wipe in hand. Exactly.
Not just that he has a board wipe in hand, but the board's getting a little bit uneasy. Like, that's a lot of bodies, but also John doesn't really have anything in play. He has a 7/9 that can, downgrade opponent's champions. And if John can get Mike to say, Draka and then smash and burn to kill the Reaper, then he's perfectly set up for a board wipe.
Yeah, that would be great. And his board wipe, I mean, it is Dark One's Fury, I think, that is in his hand
He
right
also
now.
has Apocalypse.
He also has Apocalypse, so yeah. That is... That one of Apocalypse, okay, yeah. And maybe that was part of it. I mean, there's 2 Dark One's Fury and 1 Apocalypse. Maybe that was something in discussion, too,
Right.
with playing Reapers, wanting the Apocalypse, so you didn't just have 3 Dark One's Fury against giving your opponent demons as well.
Right. It's also relevant, when you're thinking about how you want to play out the turn. I mean, basically, if in a tournament, you don't know what the meta is going to look like. There might be other people that are playing evil decks.
That's
So,
another great point. Yep, exactly.
You
Dark
know,
One's Fury, very strong in the mirror. Doesn't
It's a
do
draw
anything.
two.
Yeah, exactly. Just a draw 2.
Yeah.
So I do like the one of Apocalypse in that slot. So Reaper blocking the demon, Feeding Frenzy finishing it off, and Mike coming in with his other champions here.
Yeah, 6 is definitely a bit of an awkward. Right, so he's going to Amnesia. Mike's really trying to keep John off of ever being able to use that Scar's Gift.
Yes.
He's saying, listen, I understand that later in the game, this strategy means that you're going to be able to Scar's Gift with impunity, but if I can stop you now, I can pressure you enough that maybe we just don't even get there.
Yes. Yeah. And if Mike can slowly time his 3 Amnesias out over the game and just keep putting this pressure under John, because John's got Recycle himself plus the Scar's Gifts,
Yeah,
so his discard pile is...
Well, I think the only recycle in
Is Word
John's
of
deck
Summoning?
is 1 Amnesia.
Oh, he's not... Oh, I didn't realize John's not on the Word of Summoning. You are correct.
And that might just be so that they can, just, instead of recycling, activate
Exactly,
Scar's
because
Gift
of
more
Scar's Gift. It
time.
makes sense. You're right.
Right, so John did make a play here, and of course, Mike needs to do something because he has an extra gold to spend, but he doesn't want to draw 2 because he's just going to have to discard 2 right away. So he's going to play one of the most threatening things that he can for gold.
We have seen it all weekend, and Brock, the Fist of Lashnoth, is back. Lashnock is back, and Mike has been really just playing every game. This card seems to be the main focus as he continues to kind of whittle down his opponent, sometimes their hand with Amnesias, their discard pile, and say, you can bounce Brock a couple of times, but, I mean, eventually, this guy's attacking. And Mike to hand size discarding Misguided
He
Herald.
played a second Muse because, he doesn't want to discard it.
Right.
Might as well just play it if you're going to be discarding it. So it looks like, 2 Muses on the other side of the board and the Brock. You kind of have to do something.
Right.
You can't just leave that out. So, here's
And
the Apocalypse.
The Apocalypse was the second card for Scar's Gift, so John was able to return it right away.
Right. It looks like John has 8 cards in hand, so he's probably going to play something, but might as well let the opponent do something first.
Yep. But following the Apocalypse, because he was behind, because he needed to play that Apocalypse before Mike played his coin, the surprise attack into the Raging T-Rex, Mike is not letting up at all.
Right.
And he goes right into a 12-10 that drew him 2 cards that will be attacking on John's turn.
Right.
So John did have 8 cards. Waits till after he played, and Heinous Feast gaining 7?
That's a hefty Heinous Feast.
Yeah, that's much needed right now for John. So the Heinous Feast from John gaining 7, but he's still, because of surprise attack, turning Raging T-Rex into an ambush champion, essentially. John is going to be on the back foot here, and here comes the 12-10. Forced to attack, which is exactly what Mike wants here.
John might just have to take this.
Right. And we've seen John do this before, saying, I'm not going to play my coin first.
Yeah, he could play the hasty retreat. He's definitely thinking about it. But the main disadvantage is that the opponent has that other surprise attack in their hand. I mean, the hasty retreat here is just basically gain 12 because you know that you're, he's going to go for the, just turn that one champion into a zombie.
Which allowed him to scar his gift again.
Right. You're basically going to play a bitten.
Right. But the Heinous Feast into the zombie apocalypse made that much more powerful for John there. And it is. I mean, Scar's Gift is how John not only built the deck, but plays the deck. I'm not saying he can't do it, but 2 at a time is really tough against the constant pressure from Mike. I mean, that Heinous Feast, though wonderful, as a way for one turn to deal with something, it doesn't recycle.
Yeah.
He only has 3 in his deck, and that Brock just comes back down the next turn.
Right. Yeah. No. Definitely. And that's another Zombie Apocalypse is another card that has kind of an unfortunate interaction against these wild decks a lot of the time with Dark One's Blessing.
Right.
And so I think what John wants to see now is actually some of those cards that generate the big bodies that we've seen in the past. Things like he's looking for those Xanos for the Rift Summoner, and even for things like Medusa that just put something on the board, not just dealing with a threat and then passing and hoping that 1-for-1 is going to work.
Right, really because as powerful as John's deck is, I totally agree with you. He's got Haste Retreats and Withers. Powerful cards, powerful zeros, but they don't recycle. On the other hand, you got Mike, who's playing Wolf Spites and Flame Spikes. Wolf Spite and Flame Spike, and both of those recycle. So slow and steady. This could be very difficult for John. It does look like he has one of his surprise attacks. He is playing 2 surprise attack, 1 flash fire as a splash. Somewhat of a concession, not only to the power level of surprise attack, but to playing those evil champions off turn.
So it looks like he just drew 2 with the Demonic Rising.
Yes.
So he actually has 2 gifts in his hand. So if Mike decides to follow up with the Thought Plucker here, I actually think it wouldn't be crazy to just discard a gift.
Right.
And then, he can get it back. And then it just kind of looks like he's being greedy.
but we have seen an Amnesia already from Mike, and
we've seen 2.
Right. So at this point, actually, I mean, if I'm John, I'm thinking especially after he sees the 3rd, if this game goes long enough, John could see the 3rd and say, you know what, I've got a while until the ones he's recycled get back, or through Heinous Feast or whatever. I can play my Scar's Gifts and not worry about immediately returning them.
Oh, wow. He discards the Raxus Curse.
He really values that Scar's Gift.
Maybe he has, maybe he only has 1 in his hand. He might also just be valuing deal 2, gain 2 higher than Raxus Curse.
Right. And even though there's only 1 Amnesia left, if it's the only one he has, he's like, this is my path to victory against Mike. And if that's what he's decided is found as his path, he's not willing to even have one little time off where he could lose that. So Thought Plucker,
he's thinking about which to attack first. Maybe he's considering playing the Flame Spike first, just in case his opponent is going to.
Yep. So Scar's Gift, again, it does go into the discard pile, but John's quickly using its allied abilities right back to his hand. Loyalty for the Medusa, and
reveals it as one of the 2.
Right.
And then that blanks the zombie attack. But
yeah, and that's what you said. You said he needs to find Medusa. He needs to find something like Rift Summoner. But wow, Mike with the follow-up of the Kong. Finally, if he's had that Kong for a while, finally a really good target for it, and the pressure continues.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if John wasn't drawing 2 this turn. But if he does draw 2, then he has to figure out how he's going to deal with that Kong. I mean, he doesn't particularly want to. Like, answering it 1 for 1, a Kong, is not a way to win. Like, you're not going to win the fight by, playing your just break a champion on a Kong as your turn.
And he did. He chose to draw 2 with the Dark One's Fury. Did Scar's Gift, got it back. So slow and steady. If you've been watching Mike's life total,
yeah,
it has gone from 26 to 18 since we were last kind of talking about it. But
I also wouldn't be too surprised to see the Kong get hasty retreated.
Yeah.
And just John just continue digging for more cards by drawing 2 again. Or even just, actually, now that there's a Draka's Enforcer in play, I think there's a high chance that the Kong, so that John will try to jump the Kong with the Guild Demon, and then just draw 2 and eat the 7. And then go for a Wrath on his next turn. Yeah.
Try to save that hasty retreat when there's only one champion.
Right. Well, also, in case you can hold on to it until something like, I guess he doesn't actually have to worry about any breakthrough coming from Mike, but saving it for when, you can get more value out of, there's only one champion in play that you're returning to the hand. You don't really want to hasty retreat if you're going to be wrathing.
Exactly. That's why Fumble was too good.
It
blanked their attack, but it also made your board wipe even stronger on the next turn. Right.
So again, Mike thinking about that Flame Spike. It's going to be a pretty big deal whether or not he uses it before attacking. Yeah, I think if I'm John, I'd just take that 7.
Yep, that's what he does.
Now, the real question is, if Kong comes in, he plays Guild Demon. Oh, he's gonna.
He's a Roxas Curse.
He's a Roxas Curse. That's a good way to answer it.
Yep.
Because then you can save the Guild Demon to eat a
Smash and Burn.
Smash and Burn.
Yeah. Roxas Curse, very powerful 0. Getting rid of that zombie token, and hopefully, without playing his coin,
right,
preventing 13, even better than Fumble.
Yeah.
No. But
super Fumble.
Yeah, and that's actually I said this earlier, but I need to add Roxas Curse to that list. As powerful as it is, it doesn't recycle.
Right.
And look, so this Flame Spike here, we'll see what his plan is. Regardless, if he ever Flame Spikes this demon, most likely has another Wolf Spike or another Flame Spike in his hand, or is digging for 1.
Right. And
very well could just be digging, saying it's worth it.
Right.
2 to the face versus getting this 13 in. So I don't know if Mike found another Flame Spike or another Wolf Spike. He has played a lot this game. Most of them, I think, are towards the bottom of his deck because of the Heinous Feast.
Right. So he's definitely going to pass here. If I'm John, I think you need to draw 2. You can't run out of cards, and really your opponent has plenty of grip in their hand. So if they draw more cards, then that's not that big of a deal.
You don't care.
Yeah.
Not
if they
really,
add
not
something
right
to
now.
the board,
Exactly.
then great.
And that's exactly what Mike right now had on board. Has plenty of cards in hand. So the only thing for him to do is to play more onto the board, even though that's what he doesn't want to do to overextend. So
right. Yeah, he might. If I was him, I think even just playing a Draka, or you want to save the Drakas potentially because you want to be able to have answers to things like
Xanos. Right.
But also, it's hard to give up just a deal 9 effectively. He's gonna go for
and he was definitely between the Thought Plucker and the Draka there. He does go with the Thought Plucker.
Yeah, if I'm John, I definitely it's a bit tough because discarding Scar's Gift while again tempting, this time will leave a really nice discard pile to get eaten by by like an Amnesia or something.
And we know Mike doesn't have that third Amnesia, but John playing it safe, doesn't know that, and making sure he holds on to his.
I mean, Surprise Deck's not really that useful anyway when you don't have any champions in your hand.
Right.
But here, I actually really like the Rax's Curse on the zombie token because he's actually setting out for a Dark One's Blessing. He needed to remove the one thing that his opponent would have left.
Yep.
And now he can go for the double Scar's Gift.
He does.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Thought Plucker, I guess, helped a little bit.
Yay.
Yeah, not really.
Well, he still would be able to without the
Right.
the Thought Plucker because the event will be in the discard pile. Looks like he's thinking about it. He might also have a Zombie Apocalypse in his hand, and he's trying to see if there's a different route that gets him there, and about what will happen if he clears the board, and then he gets hit by like another Thought Plucker or a
Right.
Yeah. Just
could he draw 2 here in Zombie Apocalypse off turn? Does he need to Dark One's Fury now?
Yeah. Is it possible for me to, ignore these for a while for like another turn?
Right.
Can I get away with, like Drain Essencing? I mean, also, there is something to be said for the fact that if he just removes a single champion, then Mike might assume that he doesn't have any board wipes.
Right,
And just
and play another.
super overextend into it.
And still, John would gain 9 off that, so.
Right, and you can, block the Gong another time with something. But
looks like Mike has both of those Drakas.
he has Rift Summoner as well. Right, he might just, because the other option is if he starts setting up with something like Rift Summoner, then later he can still Dark One's Blessing.
Right. Right. Can I? He could be saying right now, with this Drain Essence, can I Drain Essence something, then Rift Summoner now, maybe even, or wait Zombie. Right. He's gonna go with the Zombie Apocalypse, but I do like, because of the Rift Summoner pickup, he is thinking exactly what you were saying, holding on to the Dark One's Fury for possibly a huge turn where he can have Rift Summoner out, have made a bunch of demons, and then try to one sideboard Wrath Mike Sigrist.
Yep.
And he does have 2 Scar's Gift. There's been times where he could have discarded them, both to hand size, to Thought Plucker, not willing to lose 1, 2, possible 3rd Amnesia. And now he has 2. And now that's a much bigger clock against Mike. Mike at 14.
Absolutely.
So, Mike, I mean, this is starting to... it was a while ago, I was like, whew, I'm not sure if John can hang on long enough to do Scar's Gift that many times. But it's getting a lot closer.
Yeah, and he still has the Drain Essence, so he's very far away, and he can always pull out the Scar's Gifts again they don't need to go back to his hand. In other words, whenever is necessary, you can always just not put them back in your hand and play them a second time.
Yes, and just like Plentiful Death, the big turn, where the go all in turn, where you could play both, return both, and then play both again. Which I gave. Is it 8 to the face, gain 8 when he's ready to do that, which is.
Now I don't think John's actually attacked Michael at all, right? Or he hit him with an Angel of Death.
He attacked once with the Angel of Death. It didn't make it to the red zone though. It was It was Flame Spike, Wolf Bite.
Right. And
Mike not willing, and I mean, Mike knew Scar's Gift is a problem. I'm not taking any damage, and Mike made sure not to take that 6 at that time, and
Mike's taken 12 from Scar's Gift.
12 or 14.
Because he was at 26 when the Angel of Death came in.
Right.
I guess he was, because he mulliganed twice and he got hit for once. Yeah, wow.
So
14, halfway there.
Yep. But if anybody could do it, John can do it. He's proven time and time again his composure, and he is going to...
All right, so the Kong gets surprise attacked in. Now, of course, the danger to using your off-turn Wrath on your turn is that now you don't have an off-turn Wrath.
Right.
But I think the plan here is just go ahead and use the tokens that you get from the Rift Summoner to block the Kong.
Yes.
John's really taking advantage of the fact that he knows Mike does not have any breakthrough in his deck.
Right. I mean, I guess Brachiosaurus, but that's it.
Right. He doesn't have rages or lashes.
Right. No,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That makes such a difference. When you're playing against a wild deck and you don't know, just a simple chump block, it can be incredibly dangerous.
Yeah.
So, Mike, starting with the Muse. Again, that Kong was surprise attacked into play at the end of John's turn, so
Yeah.
John knows, and it'll be coming at him soon.
And if I'm John, I mean, I probably don't even want to. I probably don't even want to let to play the Rift Summoner before the Kong attacks.
Which it looks like he's not. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, you're taking 10 all the way down to 22.
Right. And each zombie attacks one at a time. And there's the Kong. Now that the Kong is attacking, Rift Summoner comes in.
Right. Now
It looks like because of the amount of cards in his discard pile, didn't scar his gift at all. Just revealed them as his loyalty, which Mike already knew.
Right. And now I'm not sure how greedy John is being, but it would be pretty.
I know what you're about to say.
Yeah. So he can choose to go to blocks, to let blocks happen, and then break after blocks, or he can wait. He can break it before blocks in the event that his opponent has
Lightning Strike.
like Lightning Strike.
Right.
Lightning Strike's the perfect way to get rid of Rift Summoner, but he can also just spend his gold to do it because John spent his gold already, and I think it's really really greedy to not go for it, because then you can get blown out by like a race. You can get blown out by Strafing Dragon,
Right.
Flame Strike.
There's so many things.
Yeah, that's like 9.
So, yeah, if I'm John, I would make 2 demons.
Yeah.
I understand you can put the demon in front of the Kong and then try to sack it to make 2 more. But if I'm John, I would immediately make 2 demons and then try to chump block with 1.
I mean,
I think I see the one of Hurricane in Mike's hand right now.
Mm-hmm.
Now John's already played this coin. He can Hurricane now before blocks to try to get this 13 damage through with the Kong. And I think that's part of what Mike's deciding. I'm not saying that's what he's going to go for, but he's got a lot of decisions in his hand.
I think with that erase,
Right.
He's thinking about which one to erase. Like, you can erase the Rift Summoner, but then you have to deal with it later. But if you erase the demon token,
The Rift Summoner doesn't have anything.
Rift Summoner can break itself to make 2
Oh,
demons.
sure. That's it.
But then you break the Rift Summoner effectively.
Right.
You get it out of the hand, because John's down to 5 cards in hand, so he might just be, again, worried about closing this game sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I'm sure Mike is, knowing those 2 scars. Guess they're there. So
Yeah.
looks like he's going to go with the erase. I think on the demon token. I think I would erase the demon token here.
Yeah, I think
it's a tough. I think it's a
good
tough
play.
call between that and the Rift Summoner. And it's been at the front of his hand for a while now. Erasing the demon token before blocks are allowed to be declared, and that is what he decides to go with.
I mean, so now John again has the opportunity to play Guilt Demon.
yes,
And then block the Kong with the Guilt Demon,
Sure.
and then break it before damage
Yeah.
to make 2 demons. And, I mean, if he's ever going to play Guilt Demon for value, this is the turn to do it. It turns, gives you a Rift Summoner.
exactly. And I think John just checking to make sure that there wasn't a smash and burn in Mike's discard pile. He does go with the Kong.
Right.
Opting, I mean, makes a zombie apocalypse
better, yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
But blocks with the Guilt
Yeah.
Demon before damage. Breaks it. Again, very safe without rages and lashes in Mike's deck.
Right.
And especially because of the Guilt Demon, able to get out of that. And there is the smash and burn.
Right.
To
Of course.
hand size.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, now he can't.
Right, no, but still a wonderful play by John, and,
Yeah,
and both players
absolutely.
playing really well here.
John, realizing the smash and burn is there, if you want to spend your gold first, I'm not going to stop you.
Yes. He does spin it first, but that is the one Hurricane. And that
Right.
is a card we said, obviously, very strong against John's deck. John probably happy that Mike just does
John
that
gets
more.
to just drain Essence here to clear.
Oh, this is a huge turn.
And then he's going to Scar's Gift twice and banish his discard pile. That brings
So
him up
John
13.
gains 13. Mike loses 4.
Yep. 35 to 10.
I don't know how John's navigating this. This is incredible.
Yeah.
The backfire hurricane.
Yeah. Using,
Yeah.
he was able to Wrath John was able to Wrath without actually spending a card to do so. He thought about it. He said, this Zombie Apocalypse is okay because I'm going to lose some health when it swings at me, but now I'm making my I'm hedging my bet on my Rift Summoner because you can't really hurricane the Rift Summoner away, and he probably has the
Rift Summoner looks so good in John's deck. And it's just a powerful ambush champion, which Evil has very few of.
Also, and now he's down to 4 cards, which is very dangerous.
Right.
But
and with only Scaros and Thought Plucker. He does go with the Scaros, revealing 5 of the 6 cards from Mike's hand. That's 5 damage to John. You know, I thought he might actually take the Thought Plucker.
I would really consider the Thought Plucker there. I think attacking the hand is even more valuable. But I think what Mike was thinking is, John's just going to discard a Scar's Gift, and I don't have a way to get rid of it.
Right. Which John has been playing around the possibility of that 3rd Amnesia. John might actually get some insight to that. Mm-hmm. He does start with the Dirge of Scara. And he would have had Dirge as his discard if he wanted to.
Right.
But, so it draws
does actually have the 3rd Amnesia.
Oh, he does now.
But Michael's thinking about it because if John has 3 Scar's Gifts, he can just win here, right? I guess it would be triple.
He would need a few more cards in his discard pile, right?
Yeah, I guess he would only do 8.
And in fact, Mike uses the 3rd Amnesia right away. Mm-hmm. Just getting rid of that Dirge and realizing, we know he has at least 2 already. We have to be very careful about how many cards, or Mike has to be very careful about how many cards John has in his discard pile. It's that close now.
Honestly, I think this plays a bit dangerous because it if John and Michael both been paying attention, that's the 3rd Amnesia. So now John has more freedom in what can go into his discard pile.
Right. I guess also it makes Mike's Thought Pluckers a little weaker because John knows about the 3rd Amnesia and can say, well, Scar's Gift, much safer now.
Imagine if John plays Dark One's Blessing and passes here. Then can Michael...
right.
Because the 4 from the Demon Token is so relevant. He might just end up drawing 2, though, considering he's so close. Yeah, I would not having another route of drawing. It wouldn't be crazy to just draw the cards. But it looks like he's going to clear. Because now Michael has to play a champion.
Right.
There's no way that's not going face. Oh, wow. Oh, he's using the Smash and Burn on it.
Oh, okay, yeah. So John takes the 5, Smash and Burn to get rid of the Demon Token.
It would be really interesting if after all of that time, Hasty Retreat is used to draw 2.
Yeah. It could be. It also could be exactly what John needs to survive the last turn, to get another card into his discard pile, to have just enough for Scar's Gift.
Yeah.
So, we'll see here soon. Mike knows about the 2 Scar's Gift, and there's a Fire Shaman into a Brachiosaurus. I feel like Mike knows. He's like, look, I've used my 3rd Amnesia. Mm-hmm. I got to put the pressure on now. And he is. He's saying, I've gotten him to use 2 Zombie Apocalypse. That was another Dark One's Fury. He used a Dark One's Fury early, I think, as a draw 2. So, Mike, Fire Shaman into Brachiosaurus, into Raging T-Rex. Yep, he does use the Hasty Retreat as a draw 2. John picks up a Wave of Transformation.
Wow. That Guild Demon can attack for a lot. Because the 3 damage might be relevant.
Right. Oh, right. Even without a Smash and Burn in Mike's discard pile, just threatening a 3-2 airborne.
Yeah.
When Mike knows it's this close.
I mean, yeah. If he hits with Guild Demon, then he's dead to the double scars or I guess not quite.
7.
Not quite. It would be
5,
he'd go down
3.
to 1. He could recall. He can't recall both by playing an evil card. So he would only be able to bring him down to 1.
I think John had used all of his board wipes, but he just did pick up the Wave of Transformation, which could also buy him just enough
He's
of a
got
turn.
at least another Wave of Transformation, and he only used one Darkwind's Fury. It's also relevant that that Xanos is a direct burn card as well.
Absolutely, yeah. We haven't seen any of that in this game. He's got 2 copies in his deck, and that alone also could do it, I guess, in the next couple of turns. John's down to 13.
It's really,
This is an incredibly close game.
These life swings are insane.
I mean, John was, at 40?
Yeah, and then he went down to 22, and then he went up. The next following turn, he was up at 35, and then now he's down at 13.
Just shows you the power level of Mike's deck as well, and both of these players.
Right, John's health is swinging rapidly, and Michael's is slowly whittling down.
We can't see it from here, but the amount of life gain and life loss, I mean, it's just on the sheet, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So, and that's exactly what John decides to do. He's probably just going to take 2 champions.
Yeah.
Just use the 2 champions on top. That's just for Zombie Apocalypse. But really, this is just a 3-2 airborne. And Mike,
he can clear it if he wants to play. If he wants to play a wild card and shoot it down with Fire Shaman.
Yeah. But again, that's Mike playing his coin first. That's what he doesn't want to do.
Yeah, because he doesn't want to do that and then Angel of Death.
He takes the 3 to go to 7. I think he does because John is. I think Mike.
He's double counting though because he doesn't. It's not exactly lethal. It brings Mike to 1
because there aren't enough cards in John's discard pile right now. If there were more cards in his discard pile, that would be it.
Yeah.
But there aren't. Partially because of that third amnesia from Mike.
Well, the third, if he had one more card, he would still be 1 short.
Yeah.
But I do like this play because it's also going to give him a blocker when he waves off turn.
Right.
Or even if he waves now.
Yeah. So 15 to 5. Is that a Dark One's Fury?
No, that's a Dirge of Scar.
Or a Dirge, okay.
But he can use it to make a demon token right away by recycling it to the
yes,
his gift.
Which is exactly what he does. He draws 2 off the Dirge and immediately using that ability on it to create a demon and to get the Scar's Gift back to his hand. So Mike's at 5. And John has 2 Scar's Gifts in his hand.
Right. So now he needs to do something before passing priority. Because otherwise he can go, Scar's Gift, Mike goes down to 1. Medusa targeting itself.
That would be an incredible play, right? To get it into the discard pile.
Yeah.
Let's see what Mike has. Yeah, he does go for the Flame Spike.
Yeah,
First thing he grabs the Amnesia. Which, Yep, puts it on top of the 2
that he gets to the bottom of his deck.
Things are crazy. No, that's not going to happen. He was doing that for technicality reasons, but...
I mean, he could still get it out with Flame Strike, which is in his deck, right? Is it?
No, this is Mike's version does not have the Flame Strikes. He is all value with Misguided Heralds, Brachiosaurus, Thought Plucker.
Strafing Dragon's the most you can get for a gold. So he could still do it with Brachiosaurus. Oh, well, there you go. Well, that does 3. That brings John down to 10. So Strafing Dragon would bring John down to 2.
Plus all these attacks. but Mike doesn't know about the wave of transformation.
Well,
But
yeah.
right, either way,
He has to play as though John.
Right.
He probably will have to play as though John doesn't actually have a
absolutely.
way to trigger those scars gifts.
it is 7-5.
Let's see if John can see it. Yep. So that brings Mike down to 1.
Medusa, target yourself. That's it.
Oh, he doesn't actually need to.
Right. I think, yeah.
Damn.
Right. I know you wanted to see Medusa target itself to create that last card, but regardless, congratulations to John and an incredibly crafted game.
Wow.
It took everything, and I even said when Mike was at 26, I said, I think John's entire plan is Scar's Gift, and the question was, can he get there? Can he slowly do that to Mike before Mike beats him with the constant pressure of surprise attacks and Drakas and Forces and Strafing Dragons? And John held off the Wild just long enough to.
And it's so unassuming. Like a lot of people I've talked to have looked at Scar's Gift and they're like, yeah, I mean it's not very good.
Well, I'm guilty of that. When I first looked at the card, I thought like Unquenchable Thirst. Like, okay, this is an interesting card. Could be good in limited.
Right.
But John said, "Oh, we're going to build our world's deck around it," and that's
Absolutely.
exactly what he did. Congratulations again to John making a first player into the finals, we actually know both players.
Oh, yes.
So congratulations to Sam Black, who has also already finished his match against Calvin Keeney.
Surprisingly, the Wild versus Wild matchup finished first.
Oh, yes. What am I saying? Calvin was playing a pretty aggressive deck, so no surprise there. And it looks like we have our finals match set up here. It'll be John Tatian against Sam Black. And we will see, I mean, we're going to see, I mean, with one card difference, Mike Sigrist and Sam Black are playing the same deck in Constructed. Right. Obviously, we will start with Dark Draft again, best of 5. We'll start with 2 Dark Drafts. Both John and Sam, incredible at Dark Draft, a clash of titans, and that's what I'm really looking to see, because I feel like if one of those 2 players can come out of that with a 2-0 advantage, that's I mean that's the dream.
Absolutely.
If not, I think we're going to see more games like we just saw, where the Wild deck it has all the value. It's constantly looking to put pressure on John, but John was ready with the Scar's Gift, wasn't willing to discard them for any reason.
Yeah.
Wasn't willing to lose
out.
it for any reason to that third Amnesia, and even pitched cards like Surprise Attack to make sure that he didn't against Thought Flickers, and it paid off. So thank you so much for being with us here in the semifinals. We're going to take a short break before the finals of our World Championships here in Boston.